Фактически Соединенные Штаты сейчас ищут новые источники энергии и стараются внедрять новые технологии и добиваться сокращения цены производства. Фактически они начинают некую новую товарную экспансию на рынке и уже начали ломать старые торговые связи. Отчасти мы видим уже первые результаты того, что это происходит в ухудшении экономической ситуации. Мне бы хотелось слышать мнение ваших экспертов о том, предполагают ли они какие-то дальнейшие ухудшения под влиянием этого процесса. Будет ли он прерван по какой-либо причине или наоборот усилится? Спасибо.
Уточняю вопрос, не означает ли это, что улучшение экономической ситуации в США может обернуться ухудшением экономической ситуации для всех остальных? Карус?
Thank you. I think on the case of the United States specifically, I think they tried that solution of growing through exports. In fact, in the G20 for some time, their view was that you need to rebalance in the international economy in the sense that China and not Russia and other developing economies, emerging markets, should now import more so that developing economies which were with low demand would be able to get out of the crisis from the exports. But I think this didn't work for the United States was because they are a very big economy, so exports cannot really push up their economy that much. Of course, it can contribute, but it cannot be a solution. They have to have necessarily a solution from the inside. And there, what happened, what took time, was the fact that it was considered politically acceptable to give subsidized money for the banks so that they would not melt down and generate panic and so on. But it was not considered politically acceptable to lend money at subsidized rate for the families. So during a long time, families had high debts, and because they had high debts, they could not buy anything. They had to solve their financial problem first. And only now, so it takes time. So for quite a long time, banks have been in good shape, companies have been in good shape, but the economy was not growing because families were not in good shape. So only after you had a twist operation with the Fed, and then they forced the long-term rates down, that allowed families to renegotiate their mortgages, to renegotiate the loans they had for their homes. And at that point, when they could renegotiate that, they started to liberate part of their savings for consumption. And I think that explains a lot of why now they are recuperating at the same time at the same time as the housing market is improving in the United States. In Europe, something similar, but they're at the level of the governments, because again, it was considered acceptable to give subsidized money for the banks so that they would not break, but not for the government. So the central bank was not allowed to support public titles. Therefore, countries came into a downward spiral of fiscal consolidation and recession. So that's why, again, they are taking some time. In any case, it's a crisis of what we call the leveraging. Before the crisis, the amount of money circulating in financial markets was much bigger than the necessary for an adequate financial intermediation. So the objective of financial intermediation is to take money from where it's excessive to where it's needed so that people can produce. That's the objective. Now, and for that, you develop a number of innovations and different financial instruments and so on. But at the point where this financial intermediation grows so much that it becomes 7-8 times the level of expenses in production, then there is a strong distortion, and when it falls down, everything falls down because there's no substance. And it's like in a American TV series called Once Upon a Time, there's one character that also says, magic comes with a price. And that's the fact. If you do magic with money, at some point it comes with a price. That's the bubble. And in a way, that's what explains the situation also in Spain. It's a bubble on the housing sector that generated the problems of the small banks. So I don't think that the concentration in Spain is a consequence of Basel III. Reason number one, Basel III is not yet implemented, so you cannot cause anything because it's still being implemented. So the fact is that the concentration there is because the banks had problems, because families could not pay their homes anymore, they could not pay their loans, so the banks were going to break. So one way of solving it is you sell the bank for a bigger bank. Either you put the money from the people who pay taxes on the bank, or you sell it to a bigger bank. That's the reason for concentration in Spain. Basel III is not yet implemented. The objective of Basel III is to contribute to deleveraging in the sense that, and there is even a lot of discussion on the banks saying, oh, we'll not be able to lend money anymore because we have those limitations. Because what Basel III does is to increase the relationship between the capital the bank has and how much is allowed to loan. And not only in terms of a traditional capital leverage ratio, but also now a new leverage ratio that does not take into account the quality of the assets, but that gets a little bit more complicated. I think those are some points that we do.